So I'm
You're in
good
a
to,
different place than I'm in than I am.
yeah, absolutely.
But we also have that ability to relate with each other.
But you've also been to a different spot that I haven't gotten to yet too. Like you've gotten to the point where you sold a business and exited, and now you're back starting something new. So it's you surround yourself with those people who have those different experiences, and that makes you really strong.
Welcome to Grit Meets Growth, the podcast where we explore getting uncomfortable, making things happen, and creating a magnetic life. Now let's get after it.
What episode is this?
7. Lucky 7.
Lucky 7. I remember you saying that now when you scheduled it.
Lucky 7s. Hard to believe we're at 7. I said that with 6, but it's like hard to believe we're at 7.
It's one of those things we just keep going with it, keep coming up with good topics to talk about. One of the things that was interesting, and you and I have talked a little bit about this off the podcast, but one of the things that was interesting was I had a conversation last week with somebody who made the comment, and it's somebody who owns a business. They're about a year into it. They made the comment, it must be nice that you're further along down the road and you've got most of this stuff figured out. I bet that takes a lot of the anxiety and the stress off your plate. And I laughed about that because as much as, so I'm 9.5 years. I just talked about this at lunch today, 9.5 years into running Orange Ball. And we've been able to take this agency. We've been able to grow it. We've done amazing things for our clients and impacted a lot of businesses. 9.5 years in, we're still grinding it out. The struggle has not ended by any means. Like when you're trying to grow and you're trying to hire and you're trying to make something happen, there's still plenty of sleepless nights and plenty of nights where you're like, what the heck am I doing? So
I think that's the role. I mean, being a business owner, that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter where you're at, right? Like you and I were talking about, we're just over a year into this thing, and now we're hitting the stride of just the mundane and the grind of it, right? And the tweaks and the modifications to what we've done over the last year and the good work that we've delivered to clients so that we can scale it and deliver that same quality to more clients, right? So not only building that back office process, but building that front office and contact and reaching out and finding out who our right customer is, right? And, that's going to take information security serious, that, has a need, needs the help, et cetera.
We do a lot of work as an agency with companies who trying to help them figure out who their right customer is. And that piece of it on its own is challenging. And I just had a conversation the other day where sometimes it's an exercise of writing it down, like taking some time to sit down, look at all the people you've worked with. And this isn't even just in business. This is relationships. I mean, you can take this a lot of different directions. Take the people you've worked with and been around, make a list of all the ones that you enjoyed being around and spending time with. What are those characteristics that they all share? Make a list of the ones that weren't a good fit. What are the characteristics they all share? And start to spread those into 2 groups and realize that it's not just one. Like there is such a thing as a perfect customer, perfect relationship, perfect people to spend your time with. We've talked about this 100 times, but to be able to spread that out. And that's one of the things that as a business owner and a leader is challenging is those relationships are hard, whether it's with clients, your team, the whole deal.
Yeah. I had a sales trainer once talk about that and that same exercise and, really calling out your avatar, identifying who your avatar is, who is that perfect customer, right? And having those 3 tiers, putting them in buckets and going through that effort, but in the grand scheme of things, back to running a business, there are a lot of things every day that we run into, challenges that we run into. We've talked about some of those here over the last 6 episodes. The thing that has helped me the most over the last year and a half has really been establishing routine. And that routine, not only a fresh morning routine and how to structure that from the get-go, but a routine throughout the course of the day. And having, at the end of the day, having that very similar, within a certain time frame of bedtime, right? Time to wind down. And just having that routine throughout the course of the day, because it takes away all of that guesswork that happens, right? It allows us to be grounded and rooted in that is what I've found. Like I can root in my routine and I don't have to think about it. And it allows me to give that greater focus to the business, to the tasks that I need to accomplish within my business. Because I don't have to worry about what time I get up in the morning, what time I work out, what I'm having for breakfast. And I want to kind of dive into some of those aspects of it today in the conversation.
I think that's fantastic. One of the things, when you look at routine, a great example of that was Steve Jobs. If you watch Steve Jobs, every time he showed up at an Apple press conference, he was wearing sneakers, jeans, black shirt. And that's what was in his closet. And it wasn't just that he liked those things. He was intentional about wearing those same things over and over again. So he removed one thing from what he needed to make decisions on over the course of the day. He didn't have to think about what he was going to wear. He could focus his attention on the most important things. That's clearly not for everybody. Like some of us like to wear a little bit different clothes from day to day, but it points back to those rituals. And if you can put rituals in place, that can make your day go a lot more smooth and streamline a lot of your day. So talk a little bit about what that looks like for you.
Well, even before getting into that, right? What are some of those benefits of having that routine, right? As I think back about how I've established routine, number one, I'm healthier today than I was a year and a half ago, right? Through my cancer diagnosis, through that whole process, having the colon resection surgery done, then kind of swinging back, kind of keep numbers still good, but not really feeling as well as I could, to, man, I need to really get after getting healthy, right? Stop some of these other activities and things that I was doing that were leading to an unhealthy life. Routines help you stay calmer. They help you have a better mood, right? They help you focus and have more confidence in your business, in your life. And so those are some of the things and the attributes that I've really taken away from my morning routine. And I know we've talked about this before. Like I'm up at, round about 5 o'clock every morning. Could be 4:45, could be 5:05. It's usually not later than 5:05. And at this point, like, it's just, I know that as soon as the alarm goes off or that I'm getting up, just need to put my feet on the floor. And once I put my feet on the floor, it's game on. Like I know what needs to take place, right? It's those activities that lead to getting me out the door in about 15, 20 minutes to get to the gym. I don't hit the snooze button. It's just not something I do anymore. Have I always been there? Absolutely not. Like this, I'm a year and a half into this routine. The first 2, 3, 4 weeks, pretty challenging, real challenging. I don't want to get up. I hit the snooze. I wasn't going to the gym as early. Like I was targeting 6:30 instead of 5:30, right? Just to get those under my belt, get that activity under my belt, right? The time at the gym maybe was 45 minutes. So what I'm saying is where I'm at today isn't where you're going to be when you're starting. It takes on average about 18 to 21 days to establish a new routine, for that to be ingrained and part of our daily process. So give it time. You're gonna fall, right? We talked about falling last episode. You're gonna fall. There's gonna be times where you fall. You're gonna hit that snooze. You're not gonna get up on time. but just keep pressing, keep working towards that, because that routine will come, but you have to stick with it for, 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you're talking about like that morning routine, because probably a year ago, kind of the same time you probably started working out the way you have been, I tried to get really focused on my morning routine. And it started with writing down and making some notes about what I wanted that routine to be. And I'm looking over my shoulder right now, and it's still up there, my morning ritual. I want to get my emails to 0. I had gotten feedback that my communication sucked and I needed a little bit of work there. So I was going to get my emails to 0. I was going to run through this daily focus sheet that I use to kind of track my day, come up with my big 3. I was going to review my goals every single day. I was going to review that day's calendar, and I was going to do some quiet time. And that was the routine. I knew that if I did those 5 things every morning, I was going to be on track for a good day. And I even took that and I created like a end of day routine with some similar items that I could use to prep for the next day. And prior to having that morning ritual kind of there, I did not have confidence in my day. Every day was chaotic. Every day was unstructured. Every day I felt like I was just getting by. And I still have, clearly, let's just be straight. There are still days that feel like that. Today, coming to this podcast, I texted you, I'm 5 minutes behind. I'm getting there. The day isn't rolling out exactly the way I expected. There's still days like that, right? But by taking that time and putting together that morning routine and getting through the first 3 or 4 weeks of using it, which were grueling, they were terrible, and I wasn't 100% on it. I'm not 100% today, but I'm real close. Grind through the first 3 or 4 weeks, get yourself into that habit. Today, I show up with a lot more confidence. I'm a lot more calm. My work is more focused, and it's because of how I'm starting my day. I attribute so much of that to how I start. And like you said, the routines aren't just how you start. It's through the day. There's things you do.
Well, right. And it goes just beyond that, getting up, right? That's the first step, right? We have to get out of bed. We have to get up. Water, right? Hydration, so important. Everybody talks about it all the time. I used to be horrible with it, right? I was lucky if I drank 16 ounces of water a day. Today, I'm drinking anywhere between 100 and 140 ounces a day. But that starts early. That starts from the time I get up. That's the first thing that happens in the morning for me as part of that routine. It's getting up. It's 8 ounces of water. And then it's fill the bottle up, go to the gym. And in the hour and a half I'm at the gym, I probably drink another 4 20-ounce bottles. So I'm over 100 ounces before I even leave the gym in the morning, which then makes it easy for the rest of the day. And when I join the podcast, I always have a full bottle. And I just drank 20 ounces since we started this call.
I've been watching you drink it.
So, gratitude also plays a big part of this, right? That's another thing that I've come from, a place of understanding around gratitude. Gratitude, hang out with some older folks, and you'll realize real quick what gratitude means. They're just happy to be on the right side of the dirt. I talked to one old guy on a road trip recently. I said, "Hey, how's it going this morning?" He's like, "Man, it is an absolutely great day." He says, "I'm between the green and the blue. Life is good." And I thought, wow, man, there's really something to take away from that. How often do we get into this doldrum of what's going on and looking at, social media is really a drag when it comes to that stuff at times, right? You look at what people are saying, what people are doing, and it's really easy to lose your gratitude for life, right? Watch the news and just the barrage of stuff that comes at you from that perspective. It's easy to lose a perspective of gratitude. I think I still struggle with it today, but I certainly try, right? Nothing's guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. This afternoon's not even guaranteed. We have no idea. So why not be grateful and practice an air of gratitude for life and all the positive and things. Look at the positive and be thankful for the positive. Look at the negative, be thankful for the negative. Those negative things that are in your life today, they have the potential, if you view them right, to turn into a positive and make you stronger.
I just had a conversation I don't remember if it was a conversation or I heard it on a podcast, so I'm not going to say it was one or the other, but the conversation went something like this. When something bad happens to you, let it sit for 3 days. And the first couple of days, it could feel really bad. It could feel like something that is really, really bad and that you have the right to be upset about. By about the third day, you've probably worked through it. Probably doesn't feel as bad anymore. That immediate reaction when something bad happens, we can go down that negative track and let it yank us down there, whether it's in business or a relationship or with our kids or whatever. A lot of these things, if you let them sit for a couple of days, you'll come out the other side and realize that that negative thing that happened that you were so angry about or so upset about actually turned into something good. I want to hit on something. When you talk about that guy who was like, I'm between the green and the blue, that mindset right there, I woke up today. We've talked about that in the past. I woke up today. I'm between the green and the blue. You take that and then you make a shift. I think a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this, so I'm just going to claim it right now. I spend a lot of my day thinking about what I have to do. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to accomplish this. I have to do this project. If you can shift that and make that, I get to do this. I get to do this project. I get to hang out with my team. I get to drive my kids to their activity, whatever that looks like, whatever those things are. You make a choice every time. Every time you have something on your to-do list, you make a choice. I have to do it or I get to do it. And that's how you frame that up in your head will dictate how it ends up. How is it positive or negative? You get to make that choice.
Yeah, we all have choices. We all have choices in everything that we do. Let me ask you this. At what point in your morning routine do you pick up your phone?
We talked about this a little bit in one of our last podcasts. It used to be the first thing. Now it's one of my last things. I got to get through the rest of my list. I got to get through the rest of the things in that morning ritual before I hit the phone, because it's like picking up a hand grenade with the pin pulled out of it. If I pick up my phone and I start diving into emails, I'm done. I'm never going to get to anything on my list because I'm going to be in firefighting mode, trying to put out fires and address chaos. So how about you?
I don't look at anything other than, as I mentioned before, one post, which typically starts my morning. It's usually related to, mindset. It's usually related to working out in my case. And it really helps me to set my mind right for heading to the gym. That's the one thing I look at. I do not look at emails. I do not look at any other social media. It becomes a time suck. It'll put me behind in my routine. It sometimes has a tendency to put me in a foul mood. You might see an email from somebody on something that you were supposed to do. And you know what? That can wait. It waited this long. It can wait another couple hours, before I get to it.
How do you handle your email throughout the course of the day? Are you in and out of it all day?
I am. I usually go through from the day before and get everything cleaned up in the morning once I, get home and fire up the computer and get after it from that perspective. I don't have alerts set up, so I don't get the pop-ups on my window, like if I'm working on something else. So I'm not constantly responding to emails throughout the day. I probably have about 4 or 5 block windows throughout the day that I'm responding to emails. What about yourself?
That's something that I'm working toward, is having 3-4 times during the day where I am going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to look at emails. And that's something you can hold me accountable to, either here on the podcast or just in person. Ask me how I'm doing with this, because my day on a normal day is me playing whack-a-mole, trying to jump between the project that I'm working on and, oh, I got to answer this email. And I think I've created an expectation with the people in my circle, like, oh, he responds to emails pretty quick. And then when I don't, it doesn't play well. And so and the other thing is, I don't control my emails well, which means that I miss things from time to time. And so email is a place, we talk about discipline all the time. Email is a place where I'm trying to really leverage some discipline right now. It's been a work in progress for about a year. It's gotten better, but I'm really trying to get that dialed in because it's probably my Achilles heel.
My biggest suggestion is shut those alerts off, right? Those notifications that pop up, on your screen that you got a new email. Shut those off. You don't need them.
It creates.
I don't have notifications on my phone. My phone doesn't ring every time I get an email. And I've done that for years. Like when smartphones first came out and we first had email on our phones, like it was beep, 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 beep every time you'd get an email. It drove me nuts. I shut it off. And it drives me nuts when I'm around people whose phone is doing that. I'm like, wow, like, doesn't that just annoy that crap out of you?
Well, the other side of that is too, I'm glad you hit on that, because it is annoying to sit with people who are on their phone the whole time that you're sitting with them. That's a good shift into just being present. If you're going to be someplace, be there, be present in that. The second I'm sitting across the table from you and you're looking at your phone, or this is the other funny shift. People were like, well, I'm not going to look at my phone anymore. So they'd put their phone away, but now they've got an Apple Watch. So right, now instead of picking up the phone, their wrist will vibrate and they'll do this like side shift thing with their eyes where I can still tell you're not paying attention to me and they're looking at their wrist. Like, be present in what you're doing. And then when you're done doing that, go be present at something else. We suck at multitasking. We all pat ourselves on the...
We're not made to be multitaskers.
No.
There is no such thing as multitasking. Nobody is good at multitasking. It doesn't exist.
But at the same time, I've told people in the past, I'm pretty good at it. And I've had people tell me that same thing. We're all lying to ourselves. Multitasking is not a thing. If you can focus on one thing, whether it's a conversation or a project you're working on, or focus on going through those emails, spend 10, 15 minutes, whatever it's going to take you to get through there, and just do that. Whatever you're doing in the moment, just do that and then shift gears. This trying to flip flop and teeter totter between multiple things at once it doesn't work. And I've experienced that multiple times and I'm proof. So,
yeah. And, I think you just have to find what works for you, right? What we're saying, what works for me isn't going to work for you. And it's not about implementing everything, right? Implement just pieces. Just take one little piece and implement that. If the only thing is, as I said, if the only thing you do is just remove those alerts, it's a step in the right direction.
I think the interesting thing though too is we're talking about morning rituals. Everyone's morning rituals, like what you're hitting on right now, everyone's are going to be different. Everyone's are going to look different, feel different, be different. The non-negotiable on this is you have to have some. You have to have some. And frankly, you already do. You shower, you brush your teeth, you shave, whatever your deal is, you go to the bathroom.
I don't shave, but
Well, you don't, but I do most days. We all have these morning rituals, whether we want to claim them or not. We can say, well, I'm not good with habits. You got into the habit of showering and brushing your teeth. You can get into the habit of drinking a glass of water, of looking at your calendar, of going to the gym, of whatever it is, working on your email. You can get into these habits. When we claim we can't do that, that's just us saying, A, it's not important, doesn't matter. And B, I don't have the discipline to even try. Neither one of those are good answers.
For sure. How about breakfast? Are you a breakfast guy?
I'm not. I have never been a breakfast guy. I spent probably 6 or 7 years where I didn't eat breakfast. I would have some coffee in the morning. I'd have something really light for lunch, and then I'd eat a big dinner. And so before this whole, what's it called? Fasting, the
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting thing became a craze. I've been doing it for a long time, and my body works that way, and it's been fine. Now I'll eat breakfast from time to time, but I'm not consistent with breakfast. I still kind of play the intermittent fasting thing. It works for me, but I know that it doesn't work for a lot of people. We're all wired different, but I'm curious to hear what your breakfast experience is.
I used to be the same way. I was never a breakfast. Like maybe grab, some sort of Nutri-Grain bar or something like that, walking out the door. Always a cup of coffee in the hand, maybe some sort of muffin or something. That's changed dramatically. I'm a breakfast every morning guy. That's, it's either 3 eggs, sausage, bacon, maybe a piece of toast. And if it's not eggs and sausage or bacon, it's oatmeal with some protein powder, some almond butter, and a banana. Like that's my jam. That's like my go-to. Like it hits all of those things. It checks all of the boxes for me. You're getting the healthy carb with the banana and the oats, getting the salty with the almond butter, getting the sweet with the protein powder. It's money.
What made you make the shift?
I needed to fuel coming home from the gym. And one of my buddies who's a long time gym rat, it's like, dude, you just need some power oatmeal in your life. I'm like, power oatmeal? Like, what the heck's this? Yeah, power oatmeal, man. Make up 3/4 of a cup of oatmeal for yourself and mix in some protein powder with it. Chop a banana on top. Power oatmeal. Like, all right, man, I'll give it a whirl. And now I'm like stuck on it.
I'm gonna have to add that to my morning diet. Ever since I started going back to the gym. So during the pandemic, COVID, whatever, I had this span of time where I wasn't, and I was still doing stuff, but not what I should have been doing. And now that I'm back, I'm noticing that my intermittent fasting gets me a little bit more. Like I'm feeling like I should be eating some more breakfast, and I do from time to time. But again, consistency is probably not a bad thing. So,
well, and you need a little carb in the morning before you head to the gym. You need something that's going to fuel you. You need that fuel to get you through your workout. Like when I don't, like I usually, like I'll eat an apple before I go to the gym in the morning or on the way to the gym. It just gives me that fuel to get through my workout. Because otherwise I'm flat. Like I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do anything. Right. I just don't have the energy to get through it.
What's been the biggest benefit of your workouts? Because you talk about the workouts quite a bit. You talk about how you're seeing your body change, but take that outside of just the physical. Like where else are you seeing the benefits of the workouts?
Everywhere. It honestly has it, we talk at the gym and we've got a group of us that are there every morning. And we talk a lot about how lessons from the gym transcend through everyday life, right? Every workout isn't the best. Just like every day at work isn't the best, right? There are days I don't feel like being there. But guess what? I still show up. I still put in the work. It transcends to the same thing of everyday life in business, at home, right? You have to show up. You have to be there for your family. You have to do the things that are required, even if you don't feel like doing them some days. Right? The laundry still needs to get made. Dinner still needs to get cooked. The dishes still need to get done. Right? Whether I want to be there doing them or not, I have to show up and do them. The challenges that you face in the gym to grow. It's just like growing a business. right? To get better at what you're doing. You're constantly tweaking how you're lifting the weight, what you're doing, what exercise you're doing, what's working best for your body. It's no different than what you do with your business or the routine around your home, right? It's the same things. Those activities transcend to every part of our life.
It's interesting too, thinking about this, going back to the beginning of this conversation, like, oh, I feel like you guys have made it. I feel like you guys have gotten past all the tough spots, right? And there's a point where in your workouts, your physical health, whatever, where you do get past some of the tough spots. Like you get past some of those initial barriers that you're facing physically. But it's just the business piece is exactly the same as those workouts. You have to keep showing up. You have to keep doing the work. There are days, like I remember when I was getting ready to run the marathon, there are days where I would wake up and I'd be like, today's a great day to run. The weather's perfect. My legs feel good. My head's good. I'm just ready to go and get after it. And half a mile in, your whole body would just crash on you. It just wouldn't show up. And you're like, you wanted to stop. You're like, I got to turn around. This is terrible. But you'd have to keep going because that's just what you did. There were other days where you woke up and you didn't want to go. You didn't want to start. And about 6 miles into a run, you were gassed up, fueled up, and ready to go. And you felt like you could do another 6, 10, 12 miles. But every day, whether it's in the gym, whether you're running, whether you're building a business or growing a family, the challenges are up and down and up and down. And all we can do in the middle of that is just keep showing up.
Yeah. And what I found is that, to your point, right? I talk about the gym a lot, but it's really my foundation. It's that rock. It has become that I can rely on that every day. Like, I know I can go and do that every day. And I know whether I want to be there or not, I always come out of there feeling better than I felt going in. Those days, there are days I do not want to go to the gym. For whatever reason, you're sore, you've got a ton of stuff on your plate for the rest of the day, you don't want to go. Guess what? Go, show up. Many times for me, just getting there lights that fuse. And I have never, ever walked out of the gym going, God, I really wish I wouldn't have came here today. Never. I always walk out of there energized, charged up, ready to go knock my day down.
I'm going to give you another example of that, not in the gym, but something completely different. So I have a group of men. There's 8 of us. And Thursday night, 6:30, we get together. We do a Bible study. And I can tell you that exact same thing. Every week, about 5:30, 6 o'clock, we're coming up on it right now. I come up with 18 excuses why I shouldn't go that night. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I don't feel like it. I got a lot going on. I'm not as prepared as I want to be. I should skip. I have never skipped, and I have never had a night where I felt like that was a waste of time. There is not one night that I walk out the door at the end of this thing at 8 o'clock, 8:30, that I'm not like, that's one of the best places I could have invested my time and energy this week. But coming on the front end of that, there's 1,000 excuses every single week for not going. One of the things that keeps me showing up is the accountability of having this group of guys around me who are going to hold me accountable and say, hey, where were you? If I don't show up, I'm going to get text messages and phone calls, and guys are going to be on me like, where were you? Is everything okay? They help me stay disciplined, and that accountability is huge. And I know you have that same thing at the gym.
Absolutely. The accountability piece, but also just doing it for ourselves, right? There's something you have to do for yourself in order to feel fulfilled. I got this question earlier this week, just from a random LinkedIn message. What's more important to you, fulfillment or success?
I can tell you my answer. If I'm fulfilled, I'm successful.
That was my answer. I said the exact same thing. I'm like, fulfillment equals success. What are you talking about?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is, it doesn't go backward exactly the same. Success doesn't always equal fulfillment. They're different in that respect. Fulfillment has to be the core thing you're chasing. I think sometimes we chase it backwards. I think we chase the success and we think if I get the success, I'm going to be fulfilled. The fulfillment has to come first. And that's, going back to the work stuff. Work is fulfilling for me. That journey of it, being an entrepreneur, showing up every day, working hard for clients, that's fulfilling. And if I do those things well and those relationships and my network are strong and I'm doing the best I can to serve the people around me, success comes off that. I'm fulfilled and I have success if I do all of those things first.
Right on. What are some other things that you do, morning routine, that set you up for success for the day?
One of the things that I started doing a long time ago, I have this blog called Depth Not Width. And what I realized was if I was going to blog and I was going to create content for that and I was going to write, morning was my time to do it because I was not distracted. And my whole reason for starting the blog in the first place was I felt like I had some things I could share very similar to this podcast. I had some things I could share that were going to be helpful to people, but B, it was a really good way for me to just get some things out of my head and onto paper or onto the computer, whatever, but just get them out of the head and reflect on the things in my life that I've got going on. And so that is absolutely part of my morning routine. It's not every morning, but I would say 3 or 4 mornings a week when I'm up early. That's one of the things I'm doing when I'm up early. And again, that sets the tone for my week. I'm able to take some time to reflect, think about what I've got going on. A lot of people journal. I write this blog. It's kind of my version of a journal that everybody gets to read. How about you?
Try to make my bed every morning, right? My wife and I get up around about the same time. And before I go to the gym and before she starts her day and getting ready to go to work, we try to make the bed. Because I think that in my mind, like, awesome, I've accomplished something today. I made my bed, I'm not out of bed 2 seconds and I've already accomplished something. Like, what a way to start the day, right? Like, woohoo, accomplished.
I get to check the first box of the day.
Right on, which, is part of that list. I'm a list guy. I work from a list. It drives my wife nuts because I always tell her, put it on a list. If there's something you want me to do, write it on the list. That's how I operate. That's the way I've always been my entire life. I do the same thing for work. Like, at the end of the day, I go, okay, what is left, right? What's left hanging out there that I need to accomplish tomorrow? Write that down. What else do I want to accomplish tomorrow in that day? Write those things down. When I come back from the gym in the morning and I make my power oatmeal and I sit down at my desk, I review that list. Okay, what am I missing? Can some of this stuff go away? What do I need to add to it?
I've had that identical conversation with Christina when there's things around the house that she wants me to help with, and not even just help with, but get done. Mm-hmm. Put it on a list. If you get it on a list, it's going to get done. If it's not on the list, the odds that I'm going to get to it slip. And it's not that I don't care. And it's not that it's not important to me, but the list part is really helpful. That's just the way I'm wired. If I get it on a list, I'm going to get after it.
But John, can't you just look around and see what needs to be done? Just by your reaction, it's the same at your house as it is at mine, because I get that statement. Chris, can't you just look around and see what needs to be done? And I'll tell you this, I'm getting better at that, right? As I've been working from home and and have that opportunity to kind of, I'm in this space all day long. Like, you start to see some things that are like, yeah, I need to take care of that, or the laundry's stacking up, I better throw a load of laundry in, whatever it happens to be.
I'm laughing because it's the identical conversation, and it's not that I don't see it. I see it, but I think that's any relationship too. Like, what's important to my wife is not always a priority for me. And it's not that I don't care about my wife. It's just not, we don't always have the same priorities as far as projects that need to get done. What I'm learning is that there's a lot of ways I can love my wife by seeing what her priorities are and making them my priorities, and getting rid of a little, like, if I'm just going to be honest about it, dropping a little bit of my selfishness that creeps in from time to time and saying, you know what, I don't feel like doing this right now, but I'm going to do it anyway because I know it's important to her. And that's it. It's kind of weaves into the same conversation we've been having through this whole episode.
Absolutely. And we talked about a lot of things today, right? And really about just establishing kind of that morning routine, whether it's, not hitting the snooze button, practicing gratitude, drinking your water, maybe eating a breakfast, right? Maybe having breakfast and fueling your body, leaving your phone kind of till a little bit later in the day once you've done some stuff, in the morning. Some routine around your email and dealing with your email, right? The making bed. The reality is that you don't have to take all this on at once, right? Start small. Take one thing, make one change. And a few days later, make another change, or a few weeks, right? It doesn't have to be, I don't even do necessarily all of the things that are on the list that you and I created before this podcast, right? I don't do all of those things every day. I certainly shoot for them. I try for them, but I try to introduce them, where it can and where it makes sense. I think being prepared, as we talked about, building that list, being prepared for your day, knowing what you want to accomplish, having a goal for the day, right? Goal setting is so important. And even on a daily basis, that goal setting piece becomes so important. Put those goals together. We posted a social post this week about asking for help. I think that is one of the most important things. Reach out, hit us up through social media if you've got a question. You want to, if you're struggling with something, hit us up on social media. DM us on Instagram, Facebook. We'll get to it. Reach out to your friends. Don't be afraid to do that, right? Don't be so proud that you can't reach out and ask your friends for help. And more than anything, just be patient with yourself. It's a process, right? I struggle with that. I struggle with that every day, the patience piece. Because we live in an instant gratification world. We all want stuff immediately. I'm no different than that. I want results immediately, but the reality is it's not the way the world works.
I think one of the gold nuggets in there is it's easy to listen to this episode and think of all the things you should change, all the things you should do. I need to add this, subtract this, whatever. Just pick one or two, make some small, subtle tweaks, get those under your belt. Life for me, and probably for you, the last 5-10 years has been a series of small, subtle tweaks. And I'm way better now than what I was when I started, but I didn't get there fast. It's a process. It's a journey. It's small tweaks. And if you start by doing a little bit, build one new habit into your morning ritual, that's a perfect place to start.
Work to do every day.
Right on, man.
Operate from a place of work to do every day. Do the work. Results will follow. It's a great mantra to tell yourself every day. Do the work. Results will follow.
Yep. That's a good place to wrap up. Thanks for another great conversation, man.
You bet. I look forward to this conversation. Always.
Same. Have a good one, dude.
You too.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed today's episode of Grit Meets Growth. We have 2 asks for you as we wrap things up today. First of all, if you enjoyed this podcast or you got something out of it today, we'd love to have you subscribe and follow us so that you can get your ear in on more of these conversations. And the second thing we'd love to have you do is if you heard something today that you think could help somebody else or that they need to hear, we just ask you to share the podcast and let this message be magnetic to as many people as possible. So with that, have an awesome day. Make it happen. Get out there, do the work, and let's get after it.